The dream of bringing extinct animals back to life is no longer confined to the pages of science fiction novels or the realms of imagination. With breakthroughs in genetic engineering and cloning, scientists are venturing closer to achieving what once seemed impossible: the revival of species lost to history. These endeavors are not merely about rewriting the past, but also offer hope for bolstering ecosystems and correcting humanity's environmental missteps. Among the many animals under consideration for de-extinction, 20 stand out for their symbolic significance and the remarkable scientific progress made in their cases. Here is a deep dive into these fascinating creatures and the strides researchers are making to restore them. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. The woolly mammoth, a step into the Ice Age. The woolly mammoth, a majestic behemoth of the Ice Age, has long captured the human imagination. Towering over modern elephants, with long curved tusks and dense fur adapted to frigid climates, the woolly mammoth roamed the tundras of Europe, Asia, and North America until its extinction around 4,000 years ago. The causes of their disappearance remain debated, with climate change and overhunting by humans considered primary culprits. Today, the woolly mammoth is at the forefront of de-extinction efforts, largely thanks to well-preserved remains found in Siberian permafrost. These specimens have provided scientists with intact DNA, a treasure trove for genetic engineering. The process begins with sequencing the mammoth genome and comparing it to its closest living relative, the Asian elephant. By identifying key genes responsible for cold adaptation, such as those controlling hair growth, fat storage, and hemoglobin efficiency, scientists aim to splice mammoth genes into elephant embryos. The ultimate goal is not to clone an exact woolly mammoth, but to create a hybrid species, a mammophant capable of thriving in Arctic climates. Proponents of this endeavor, such as Harvard geneticist George Church, argue that reintroducing mammoth-like creatures could help combat climate change by promoting the growth of grasslands in the tundra, which would trap carbon more effectively than mossy landscapes. While there are ethical debates surrounding the project, the science continues to push forward, promising a future where the thundering footsteps of mammoths might once again echo across icy plains. The passenger pigeon, restoring a sky once darkened. At one time, passenger pigeons were so numerous in North America that their flocks darkened the skies for hours as they flew overhead. Numbering in the billions, these birds were a vital part of forest ecosystems, their droppings enriching the soil and their movements shaping habitats. Tragically, relentless hunting and habitat destruction led to their extinction in the early 20th century, with the last known individual, Martha, dying in captivity in 1914. The quest to revive the passenger pigeon is spearheaded by organizations like Revive and Restore, which are utilizing a combination of ancient DNA analysis and modern genetic tools. By extracting DNA from museum specimens and sequencing the genome of the passenger pigeon, scientists have been able to identify its unique genetic traits. The closest living relative, the band-tailed pigeon, serves as the foundation for this de-extinction effort. Using CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology, researchers are attempting to introduce passenger pigeon-specific traits into the genomes of band-tailed pigeon embryos. The hope is to produce birds that resemble passenger pigeons in both appearance and behavior. If successful, these birds could be reintroduced into the wild, potentially revitalizing forests that have suffered in their absence. The challenge lies in recreating not just the pigeons themselves, but also the massive flocks that were integral to their ecological role. Still, the promise of restoring a sky teeming with life is a vision that inspires both scientists and conservationists. The Tasmanian tiger, reviving the apex predator. The Tasmanian tiger, or thylacine, was a unique marsupial predator native to Tasmania, Australia, and New Guinea. Resembling a dog with tiger-like stripes on its back, the thylacine occupied the niche of an apex predator, feeding on small to medium-sized animals. Its extinction in the 20th century is a stark reminder of the devastating impact human activity can have on wildlife. Overhunting, habitat destruction, and disease introduced by European settlers contributed to its demise, with the last known individual dying in captivity in 1936. Efforts to bring back the Tasmanian tiger are gaining momentum thanks to advancements in marsupial biology and genome editing. Researchers at institutions such as the University of Melbourne have made significant progress in sequencing the thylacine genome using preserved specimens. Unlike placental mammals, marsupials present unique opportunities for de-extinction, as their embryos develop in external pouches, simplifying certain aspects of reproduction. Scientists plan to use CRISPR technology to edit the DNA of a closely related species, such as the numbat or Tasmanian devil, to include thylacine-specific traits. If successful, this could lead to the birth of hybrid offspring that resemble the Tasmanian tiger. Advocates of the project believe reintroducing the thylacine could help restore balance to ecosystems where invasive species have flourished in the predator's absence. While challenges remain, including ethical considerations and ensuring genetic diversity, the prospect of hearing the distinctive yips of Tasmanian tigers in the wild once more is tantalizingly close to reality. The Pyrenean ibex, a brief return to life. Among the animals considered for de-extinction, the Pyrenean ibex holds a unique distinction. It has already been brought back, albeit briefly. This subspecies of the Spanish ibex was native to the Pyrenees Mountains, where it thrived until its population dwindled due to overhunting and habitat loss. By 2000, the last known individual, a female named Celia, died, marking the extinction of the Pyrenean ibex. In 2003, scientists achieved a groundbreaking feat by cloning Celia using preserved tissue samples. The clone was implanted into a domestic goat, and for a few moments after its birth, the Pyrenean ibex lived again. Tragically, the clone succumbed to lung defects shortly after birth. While the experiment was not a complete success, it demonstrated the feasibility of de-extinction. Today, researchers continue to refine cloning techniques, inspired by the lessons learned from the Pyrenean ibex. Advances in somatic cell nuclear transfer, artificial wombs, and genetic editing have improved the prospects for a successful revival. Restoring the Pyrenean ibex is not merely about scientific achievement, it also holds cultural and ecological significance for the regions it once inhabited. Advocates envision a future where these agile mountain dwellers once again traverse the cliffs of the Pyrenees, reclaiming their place in the natural world. The dodo, a symbol of lost biodiversity. The dodo, a flightless bird native to the island of Mauritius, is one of the most iconic symbols of extinction. Standing roughly 3 feet tall and weighing around 30 pounds, the dodo was a ground-dwelling creature with a distinctive beak and an ungainly appearance. It vanished in the late 1600s, less than a century after it was discovered by humans. The dodo's extinction was primarily due to overhunting and the introduction of invasive species, such as rats and pigs, which preyed on its eggs. Efforts to revive the dodo have gained momentum with advancements in ancient DNA recovery. Although no complete dodo genome has been sequenced yet, researchers have made significant strides in piecing together its genetic code using well-preserved remains from museum collections. The closest living relative to the dodo, the Nicobar pigeon, provides a genetic framework for potential resurrection. By using gene editing tools like CRISPR, scientists aim to introduce dodo-specific traits into pigeon embryos. Reviving the dodo presents unique challenges. Unlike other candidates for de-extinction, the dodo's ecological niche no longer exists in its entirety due to the significant environmental changes Mauritius has undergone. Conservationists argue that reintroducing the dodo could help restore the island's lost biodiversity and attract global attention to the importance of preserving remaining species. While much work remains, the dodo's iconic status makes it a compelling candidate for de-extinction. The quagga, a zebra's striped past. The quagga, a striking subspecies of the plains zebra, once roamed the grasslands of South Africa. Its unique appearance, striped like a zebra at the front but brown and unmarked like a horse at the back, set it apart from its relatives. Hunted to extinction in the late 19th century, the quagga was last seen in the wild around the 1870s, with the last known captive specimen dying in 1883. Unlike other extinct species, the quagga has been a focus of selective breeding programs rather than purely genetic engineering. The Quagga Project, based in South Africa, aims to resurrect the quagga by breeding zebras with similar traits. This approach, known as backbreeding, involves selecting individuals with faint stripes and interbreeding them over successive generations. The project has already produced animals that closely resemble historical descriptions of quaggas. While backbreeding is not true de-extinction, it provides an alternative route for restoring traits lost to extinction. Genomic analysis of quagga DNA extracted from preserved specimens complements these efforts by refining breeding criteria. Scientists envision reintroducing quagga-like zebras into their former habitats, where they could help manage grassland ecosystems by grazing in ways that maintain the balance of plant species. The quagga represents a fascinating case, where biology, conservation, and history converge to bring a lost species back to life. The great auk, reclaiming the northern seas. The great auk was a large, flightless seabird that once thrived along the coast of the North Atlantic, from Canada to northern Europe. Resembling a penguin in appearance, it was a proficient swimmer and relied on the ocean for sustenance. However, the great auk fell victim to overhunting for its meat, feathers, and eggs, disappearing entirely by the mid-19th century. The last confirmed sighting was in 1844 on an island near Iceland. The effort to bring back the great auk is centered on reconstructing its genome from well-preserved museum specimens. Its closest living relatives are razorbills, which share similar genetic traits and behavior. Scientists aim to use gene editing techniques to engineer razorbill embryos with great auk characteristics, including their size, plumage, and flightlessness. The great auk's revival is particularly appealing to marine conservationists, as these birds played a vital role in coastal ecosystems. By reintroducing great auks to their former habitats, researchers hope to restore balance to food webs and bolster marine biodiversity. The idea of seeing great auks nesting on rocky shores once again, their silhouettes etched against the northern skies, captures the imagination and underscores the transformative potential of de-extinction science. The Steller's sea cow, reviving a marine giant. Steller's sea cow, a massive herbivorous marine mammal, once inhabited the cold waters of the North Pacific near the Bering Sea. Growing up to 30 feet long and weighing as much as 10 tons, it was a gentle giant, subsisting on kelp and other marine vegetation. Discovered by Europeans in the 18th century, it was hunted to extinction within decades, its slow movement and large size making it an easy target. By 1768, less than 30 years after its discovery, Steller's sea cow was gone. The possibility of reviving Steller's sea cow hinges on extracting DNA from well-preserved bones found on remote islands. The manatee and dugong, its closest living relatives, provide the genetic template for creating a hybrid species. Scientists aim to use gene editing tools to incorporate sea cow traits into manatee or dugong embryos. Reintroducing Steller's sea cow could have profound ecological benefits. Kelp forests, vital to marine ecosystems, are under threat from overgrazing by sea urchins. The sea cow's revival could help control sea urchin populations, allowing kelp forests to regenerate and providing habitat for countless marine species. However, the logistical challenges of raising and reintroducing such a large animal remain daunting. Despite these obstacles, the prospect of seeing Steller's sea cows gliding through the waves, their presence a living reminder of what humanity once lost, inspires both awe and determination. The saber-toothed tiger, a fierce return to the past. The saber-toothed tiger, scientifically known as Smilodon, is one of the most iconic predators of the Pleistocene era. With its muscular build, long claws, and terrifying saber-like teeth, this apex predator roamed North and South America until its extinction around 10,000 years ago. Often depicted in popular culture as a savage killer, the saber-toothed tiger was, in reality, an ambush predator that likely used its fearsome teeth to slash at the throats of large herbivores such as bison and mammoths. Despite its fierce appearance, the saber-toothed tiger's extinction is thought to have been caused by climate change and the extinction of its prey species, alongside possible competition with early humans. The concept of reviving Smilodon has captivated scientists, with some suggesting that through a combination of DNA analysis and gene editing techniques, it may be possible to bring back this prehistoric predator. However, finding intact DNA is particularly challenging due to the age of the specimens. Fossilized remains of saber-toothed tigers found in tar pits have provided some DNA, but researchers face the challenge of piecing it together. The closest living relatives of the saber-toothed tiger are big cats, such as the modern-day lion or tiger, which could potentially be used for genetic manipulation. Reviving the saber-toothed tiger is not just about reintroducing a predator to the ecosystem, but rather exploring the ecological impact of having such a species again. The question arises, Would Smilodon fit into modern ecosystems, or would its introduction cause chaos among existing species? Nonetheless, the saber-toothed tiger remains an enticing prospect for researchers, as its resurrection would provide critical insights into predator-prey dynamics and ancient ecosystems. The thylacine, a predator's silent return. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger, was a unique carnivorous marsupial that once roamed Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. With its dog-like body, striped fur, and stiff tail, the thylacine was an apex predator in its ecosystem before its rapid decline due to hunting, habitat loss, and the spread of disease. The last known thylacine died in captivity in 1936, leaving behind only a few photographs and preserved specimens to remind us of the species' existence. Unlike the woolly mammoth or the passenger pigeon, the thylacine presents an opportunity for cloning through somatic cell nuclear transfer. In recent years, researchers have had some success in sequencing the thylacine genome using DNA extracted from preserved museum specimens. By editing the DNA of a closely related species, such as the Tasmanian devil or numbat, with thylacine genes, scientists hope to recreate a species that is genetically closer to the original. One of the key challenges in reviving the thylacine is ensuring that the genetic pool is diverse enough to support a viable population. The process of genetic editing is complicated, and while some researchers are optimistic, others question whether such a venture would be ethically responsible. If successful, however, the reintroduction of the thylacine could help restore balance to ecosystems where invasive species have become dominant. The idea of watching a thylacine stalk its prey once more is an exciting prospect for many conservationists who seek to revive the predator that was lost too soon. The moa, the gigantic flightless bird of New Zealand. The moa, a flightless bird that once roamed the forests and grasslands of New Zealand, was a unique and giant species. With some species reaching up to 12 feet in height, the moa was herbivorous, feeding on shrubs, leaves, and ferns, and it played a critical role in the ecosystems of prehistoric New Zealand. Tragically, the arrival of humans on the island around 1300 AD led to the rapid extinction of the moa, primarily due to overhunting and habitat destruction. Without natural predators, the moa had no instinctive fear of humans, which made it particularly vulnerable. The quest to revive the moa focuses on DNA extracted from well-preserved moa remains found in New Zealand's permafrost and caves. Using this genetic material, scientists aim to sequence the moa genome and use advanced genetic technologies like CRISPR to edit the DNA of its closest living relative, the ostrich or kiwi, to create a hybrid species. This effort is complicated by the bird's massive size and flightlessness, which would require substantial ecological planning for reintroduction. Reviving the moa presents a unique opportunity to restore an entire ecosystem. Moas were essential to shaping the plant life of New Zealand, and their loss has had lasting impacts on native flora. In their absence, large herbivores like deer and introduced pests have thrived, causing significant damage to New Zealand's ecosystems. By reintroducing moa-like birds, scientists believe they could help restore the balance of native plants and prevent further damage to the land. If successful, the MOA's return could represent a monumental achievement in biodiversity restoration, even as it raises questions about the ethical implications of reintroducing a species to a drastically altered environment. The mammoth step, recreating an entire ecosystem. The woolly mammoth is perhaps the most famous candidate for de-extinction, but its revival could bring about something far more significant than just the return of a single species. Scientists are exploring the idea of recreating the entire mammoth steppe ecosystem, which existed during the Pleistocene era. The mammoth steppe was a vast, cold grassland that stretched across the northern parts of Europe, Asia, and North America, home to a variety of megafauna, including mammoths, mastodons, and giant ground sloths. Rather than simply reviving the woolly mammoth alone, researchers are investigating how they can bring back a whole range of species that once thrived in this ecosystem. This includes not only the mammoth, but also other species like the giant bison, the woolly rhinoceros, and even the steppe bison. The goal of this ambitious project is to restore an entire ecosystem that could help combat climate change. The reintroduction of these large herbivores could transform the landscape of the Arctic tundra, promoting the growth of grasslands and preventing the spread of shrubs and trees that are currently threatening to accelerate the region's warming. The Irish elk, reviving the giant of the Ice Age. The Irish elk, also known as Megaloceros giganteus, was one of the largest deer species ever to roam the earth. With its imposing stature and antlers spanning up to 12 feet, it inhabited Europe, Asia, and North Africa until its extinction approximately 7,700 years ago. Despite its name, the Irish elk was neither exclusively Irish nor a true elk. It was more closely related to modern deer species. Its extinction is thought to have been caused by a combination of climate change, habitat loss, and nutritional stress, particularly the challenges of growing and maintaining its enormous antlers. The possibility of reviving the Irish elk is grounded in advances in extracting ancient DNA from fossilized remains found in peat bogs and other preserved environments. By comparing its genome to those of living deer species, scientists can identify the genetic markers that define the Irish elk's unique characteristics. Modern deer, such as the red deer or fallow deer, could serve as genetic proxies for breeding programs or genetic engineering efforts to recreate a hybrid species. Reviving the Irish elk could have significant ecological benefits. Its grazing habits helped maintain open landscapes, preventing overgrowth of shrubs and promoting biodiversity. Reintroducing an Irish elk-like species could assist in restoring similar ecosystems, especially in regions where large herbivores have declined. Beyond its ecological role, the prospect of seeing these magnificent creatures again would be a testament to the possibilities of de-extinction science and humanity's commitment to addressing past environmental impacts. The Carolina parakeet, a lost jewel of American forests. The Carolina parakeet, a vibrant and social bird native to the southeastern United States, was the only parrot species indigenous to the region. Its colorful plumage and gregarious nature made it a striking presence in the forests, swamps, and riverbanks where it lived. Unfortunately, the species was driven to extinction by the early 20th century due to habitat destruction, hunting for its feathers, and exposure to diseases spread by domestic poultry. The last confirmed sighting of the Carolina parakeet in the wild was in the early 1900s, with the last known captive individual dying in 1918. Efforts to bring back the Carolina parakeet focus on its close genetic relationship with other parrot species such as the sun parakeet or Gende conure. Scientists aim to sequence its genome using preserved specimens and introduce key genetic traits into the embryos of related parrots. The challenges include not only recreating the physical appearance of the Carolina parakeet, but also restoring its unique behavioral traits, such as its flocking patterns and dietary preferences. Reintroducing the Carolina parakeet could play a critical role in restoring the ecosystems it once inhabited. As a seed disperser, the bird contributed to the health and diversity of forests by spreading seeds from the fruits it consumed. Its return could help rejuvenate areas affected by deforestation and loss of biodiversity. Furthermore, reviving the Carolina parakeet would symbolize a renewed commitment to preserving the rich natural heritage of the United States. The cave lion, a predator of prehistoric Europe. The cave lion, Panthera spelaea, was a massive feline that roamed Europe and Asia during the Ice Age. Larger than modern lions, this formidable predator was adapted to cold climates and hunted large prey such as reindeer, horses, and bison. Depicted in ancient cave art, the cave lion holds a special place in human history as both a symbol of danger and admiration. The species vanished approximately 10,000 years ago, likely due to a combination of climate change and declining prey populations. Reviving the cave lion involves analyzing well-preserved remains found in Siberian permafrost, which have yielded high-quality DNA samples. Geneticists are working on sequencing its genome to identify the traits that distinguished it from modern lions, such as its size, coat thickness, and cold tolerance. The modern African lion is the cave lion's closest living relative and could be used as a genetic base for creating a hybrid species. The revival of the cave lion would offer insights into Ice Age ecosystems and predator-prey dynamics. However, reintroducing such a predator into the wild poses significant challenges, including finding suitable habitats and managing interactions with existing wildlife. Despite these hurdles, the cave lion represents a tantalizing opportunity to explore the limits of de-extinction science and understand how megafauna shaped the environments of the past. The Baiji dolphin, saving a river ghost. The Baiji dolphin, also known as the Yangtze River dolphin, was once a graceful inhabitant of China's Yangtze River. Known as the goddess of the Yangtze, it played a significant cultural and ecological role in the region. Tragically, industrialization, overfishing, habitat destruction, and pollution led to its functional extinction, with the last confirmed sighting occurring in 2002. The Baiji dolphin's decline serves as a stark warning about the fragility of freshwater ecosystems under human pressure. Efforts to revive the Baiji dolphin are uniquely challenging because of the aquatic environment and the species' complex social behaviors. While no complete genome has been sequenced yet, preserved specimens in museums and research institutions provide a potential source of DNA. The closest living relative, the Indian River dolphin, could serve as a genetic foundation for attempting to recreate Baiji-like traits through gene editing. The giant ground sloth, a gentle titan of the past. The giant ground sloth, belonging to the genus Megatherium, was a colossal herbivore that roamed the Americas during the Pleistocene epoch. Towering over 20 feet tall and weighing several tons, these slow-moving giants were vital to their ecosystems. They fed on a variety of vegetation, helping to maintain plant diversity and dispersed seeds over vast distances. The giant ground sloth disappeared around 10,000 years ago, likely due to a combination of climate change and overhunting by early humans. Reviving the giant ground sloth involves extracting DNA from fossilized remains, often preserved in tar pits or caves. Though the challenge of obtaining viable DNA from such ancient specimens is considerable, advancements in genome sequencing are narrowing the gap. The closest living relatives of the ground sloth, such as the three-toed sloth and the two-toed sloth, could serve as genetic templates for de-extinction efforts. The heath hen, the bird that inspired conservation. The heath hen, a subspecies of the greater prairie chicken, was once abundant in the northeastern United States. Known for its unique mating dances and booming calls, the heath hen thrived in the open heathlands and grasslands of the region. By the late 19th century, hunting and habitat loss had drastically reduced its population, and the bird was officially declared extinct in 1932 when the last known individual, Booming Ben, disappeared. Efforts to revive the heath hen focus on the availability of its DNA from preserved specimens and its close genetic relationship with the greater prairie chicken. By using CRISPR and other gene editing technologies, scientists aim to recreate a bird that resembles the heath hen both physically and behaviorally. The reintroduction of such a bird could help restore degraded grassland ecosystems and raise awareness about the importance of conserving habitats for endangered species. The heath hen story is particularly significant because it marked one of the first large-scale conservation efforts in the United States. Although that effort ultimately failed, reviving the heath hen could serve as a powerful symbol of redemption and hope in the face of biodiversity loss. The aurochs, the ancestor of modern cattle. The aurochs, an ancient species of wild cattle, once roamed Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Towering over domesticated cattle with a more muscular build and striking curved horns, the aurochs played a crucial role in shaping the landscapes they inhabited. These powerful grazers helped maintain open grasslands and wetlands by feeding on a wide variety of vegetation. Overhunting and habitat loss drove the aurochs to extinction, with the last known individual dying in Poland in 1627. Reviving the aurochs is being pursued through both backbreeding and genetic engineering. Projects like the Toros program and the Uruz project aim to selectively breed modern cattle that retain the aurochs' genetic traits. At the same time, advances in ancient DNA recovery allow scientists to identify and potentially reintroduce key genes that define the aurochs' appearance and behavior. The great-toothed diver, reviving a marine relic. The great-toothed diver, a prehistoric seabird known scientifically as Pelagornis sandersi, was one of the largest flying birds to have ever existed. With a wingspan of up to 24 feet, it soared over ancient oceans, using its serrated beak to catch fish and squid. This formidable bird disappeared millions of years ago, long before human history began, making it one of the more ambitious candidates for de-extinction. Reviving a species as ancient as the great-toothed diver poses significant scientific challenges. While obtaining DNA from fossilized remains is unlikely, researchers are exploring the possibility of using closely related modern seabirds, such as albatrosses or petrels, as a genetic starting point. Advances in synthetic biology might one day allow scientists to recreate extinct species by reconstructing their genomes from scratch. If revived, the great toothed diver could offer profound insights into the evolution of flight and marine ecosystems. Its reintroduction would require careful planning to ensure it could thrive in modern oceans, which have been heavily impacted by human activity. While still largely theoretical, the revival of such a bird represents the cutting edge of de-extinction science and a bold step into understanding life on Earth's distant past. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on reviving extinct animals? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.